So Russell's motivation for forming the Skull and Bones was because he didn't like how the occult was persecuted, as he saw it. So he wanted to make a group of men who would be the defenders of the most powerful occult on earth, which would be the Illuminati, running things through so many occults. So these men call their organization the Brotherhood of Death, also known formally as the Order of Skull and Bones. They adopted the numerological symbol 322. Because their group was the second chapter of the German organization, and it was founded in 1832. They worshipped the goddess Egolia, they celebrated pirates, and plotted an underground conspiracy to dominate the world. So if we fast forward 170 years, Skull and Bones has curled its tentacles into every corner of American society. This tiny club has set up networks that have thrust 3 members into the most powerful position in the United States, the presidency, and the group's influence is only increasing. The 2004 presidential election might showcase the first time each candidate was a bonesman. The secret society is now, as one historian admonishes, an international mafia. It is unregulated and all but unknown. In its quest to create a new world order that restricts individual freedoms and place ultimate power solely in the hands of a small cult of 13 wealthy, powerful, prominent families that rule the world. Skull and Bones has already succeeded in infiltrating nearly every major research, policy, financial, media, and government institution in the country. Skull and Bones, in fact, has been running the United States now for many years in that way. Skull and Bones cultivates its talent by selecting members from the junior class at Yale Universities, and they also recruit members outside of Yale University. Always remember that. A school known for its strange Gothic elitism, Yale, and its rigid devotion to the past made it a perfect place for headquarters. The society screens its candidates carefully, favoring Protestants, and they favor Illuminati wealthy members, meaning they pick their members from the Illuminati family. You have to be in an Illuminati family and connected somehow through this old money to be in Skull and Bones. And so the children of wealthy East Coast Skull and Bones member families, and as well as other places, Skull and Bones has been dominated by about 24 of the country's most prominent families in America. And so the most prominent families are of the membership of the Skull and Bones are the Bush, Bundy, Harriman, Lord Phillips, Rockefeller, Taft, and Whitney are among them, into which most Skull and Bones come from one of those Illuminati families. And they are encouraged by the society to intermarry into those other families so that its power is consolidated. In fact, Skull and Bones forces members to confess their entire sexual history so that the club, as a eugenics overlord, can determine whether a new bonesman will be fit to mingle with the bloodlines of the powerful Skull and Bones dynasties of the other Illuminati families. A loner or a rebel in Skull and Bones will not make a good bonesman, nor will anybody whose background in any way indicates that he will not sacrifice for the greater good of what they call their organization. So as soon as new initiates are allowed into the tomb area, which is a dark windowless crypt in New Haven with a roof that serves as a landing pad for the society's private helicopter, they are sworn to silence and hold they must forever deny that they are members of this organization. So if this organization is so American and so on the up and up, why are they so secretive? Why do they demand secrecy from their members? During initiation, which involves ritualistic psychological conditioning, also used in mind control for demonic conditioning, the Skull and Bones members wrestle each other in the mud and are physically beaten. The stage of the ceremony represents their death to the world as they have known it. They then lie naked in coffins and they masturbate, and while masturbating they reveal to the society their innermost sexual secrets. And after what they call this cleansing, the bonesmen give the initiates robes to represent their new identities as individuals with a higher purpose. The society anoints the initiate with a new name, symbolizing his rebirth and rechristening, and they call him Knight X, a member of the order. And it is during this initiation that the new members are introduced to the artifacts in the tomb. Among them was Nazi memorabilia, including a set of Hitler's silverware, dozens of skulls, and an assortment of decorative trinkets, coffins, skeletons, and innards that are very ancient. And they're also introduced to the Bones as Whore, the tomb's only full-time resident, whose job is to make sure to molest bonesmen before they leave the tomb, which is, anal rape. Members of Skull and Bones must take some sacrifices to the society, as they would call this, and they are threatened with blackmail so that they remain loyal. But they are commemorated with honors and rewards, including a graduation gift of $15,000 and a wedding gift of a tall grandfather clock. And though they must tit their estates to the society, each member is guaranteed financial security for life. So in this way, no bonesman these bonesmen can assure that no member will feel the need to sell the secrets of the society in order to make a living, and this works basically. Their financial situation is taken care of, and in return they have to serve them and sacrifice for them. And no one has publicly breathed a word about his Skull and Bones membership ever. Bonesmen are automatically offered jobs at the many investment banks and law firms, and any type of job that's dominated by the secret society brothers, which are a lot of high-paying CEO jobs. They are also given exclusive access to the Skull and Bones Island, which is a lush retreat built for millionaires with a lavish mansion and a bevy of women at the members' disposal. The influence of this cabal is very, very strong, very, very powerful, and in the tomb instills within members an unwavering loyalty to Skull and Bones. They lose much of themselves, and they lose a lot of basically who they are. And Skull and Bones also has driven the bonesmen to ascend to the top levels of so many fields that one historian reserves at any one time the order can call on members in any area of American society to do what has to be done, meaning everywhere you look in high-paying jobs, there is a bonesman somewhere in there. Several bonesmen have been senators, congressmen, Supreme Court justices, CEO, cabinet members. There is a bones cell in the CIA which uses the society as a recruiting ground because the members are so obviously adept at keeping secrets. Society members dominate financial institutions as J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Dean Witter, and Brown Brothers and Harriman, where at one time more than a third of the partners were bonesmen. A third of these partners, my God. Through these companies, Skull and Bones provided financial backing to Adolf Hitler because the society then followed a Nazi and now follows a neo-Nazi doctrine. At least a dozen bonesmen have been linked to the Federal Reserve, including the first chairman of the New York Federal Reserve. Skull and Bones members control the wealth of the Rockefeller, Carnegie, and Ford families, and by control meaning they carry out the intentions of these families as very high, loyal, high-ranking Illuminati members themselves. The society has instilled in its members as the presidents and many of their associations a superiority complex that will just make you want to throw up. The society discriminates against minorities and fought for slavery. Indeed, 8 out of 12 of Yale's resident colleges are named for slave owners, while none are named for abolitionists. In which, if you have an abolitionist in your family, you're never going to make Skull and Bones. The society encourages misonogamy, into which that's the mistreatment of women. It did not start admitting women until the 1990s because members did not believe that women were capable of handling the Skull and Bones experience, and because they said they feared incidences of date rape. So what kept women out of Skull and Bones for so long was because the abuse that you got to go through in Skull and Bones was so intense that they didn't want these women turning on them and yelling rape when they actually have to rape them. Even the men get raped in Skull and Bones. It's part of their ritual. But mainly it was because they discriminated against women. They hated women just as much as black men and any other men. And the only reason they started admitting them until the late 90s is because women were starting to play more of a role in the political American power structure. So because Skull and Bones is headquartered in America, they had to start letting some of the elite women into their group, the kind of women they want in their group, the kind of women they can control. So the society also encourages grave robbing, and so deep within the bowels of the tomb are the stolen skulls of the Apache chief Geronimo Pancho Villa, and they also have former President Martin Van Buren, for some unknown reason to me, is down there. Now, I know that Geronimo's current family has been requesting of the U.S. government to release his body because they've been told that Geronimo's body is buried on a military base. But to you Geronimo family members out there, I'd like you to know that's completely not true. Geronimo's skull head is inside the Skull and Bones tomb, and if you want him back, you're going to have to ask that society for him back.